In today's world, we are living in an environment which has become completely transparent. So the boundaries in which a culture is inside the organization and outside happens something else are over. Your company is completely transparent. Who you are is what you are and how you behave every day. Transparency. Consequence of that is people want to engage with you not as an anonymous organization, but they want to engage with you at an individual level. And so the control over a brand or the control over a company, if it ever has existed, it's definitely over. You are in the hands of those people out there. And they demand every day one important thing, and that is that you are authentic, that you are and behave what you want to be. A corporate character is based on some fundamental beliefs that you have as a human being, as an organization, on some values that you share, and a purpose that transcends way beyond the product, the service, or any kind of offering that you might have. And it's for that corporate character that you actually try to sign up advocates, like Wolfgang asked you to become advocates for your employer brand, and reach out to other constituencies and scale that brand through those relationships. Now, how do you scale a brand? Very important. The starting point is you must have a belief. But if you have a belief, that doesn't mean yet anything unless you can share that belief with others. Why is the employee so important, whether you work in a business to consumer or business to business business? Because it is the most important asset that a company and an organization and institution has. And it is that motivated and inspired employee that is surrounded by probably some processes, but more importantly, the values of the organization they work for, that create a distinct corporate culture. And that corporate culture, lived by every day in an authentic way, will create ultimately the brand that you can experience inside and outside the organization. So, companies today, by no accident, are refocusing all their energy on what you are all about. The employee, the most important asset of every brand. When you talk about social media, you can think of it in two ways. You can either think of it as a channel, or you can think of it as individuals that are out there communicating with each other. Now, a channel usually is when, a BASF, for example, would put up a Facebook page. I don't know whether you have one. I have to say I didn't look it up, but with the branded name BASF in there. There may be many good reasons to do that, but I warn you, it could easily be perceived as another form of spam. Because a channel is something very different than a network. A channel usually is some form of media that provides a value add, a content, maybe a service, but it interrupts its audience with a sponsored message. So we know radio, television, many of the channels that we know function that way. A network, however, is completely different. It's not linear. It's based on dialogue. People want to exchange a point of view, and if you pump a message in the traditional way we used to do into a network, you will annoy them. At best, they will ignore you. At worst, they will oppose your participation in the network. So, therefore, every company has to think through very carefully, where do I put most of my eggs? Where do I invest? And I would argue, based on the experience that I made at IBM, is that going the route and really focusing on the individual, on the employee, is probably the more sustainable and worthwhile one. What are some of the new realities? As I said, digital networks have made corporate culture indivisible from corporate reputation. What you are is who you are. You clearly have to focus on, who is influencing who. We still think as companies we can influence many, the many influence many more. Unless you build this network of advocates that I talked about that shares your belief, you won't get very far. Relationships are at the individual level. Everybody has the same tools. So control, forget it. You can't control things. You need to engage, you need to listen.